Chapter 22, Give and Take. Breeze was back the next morn, feeling much better. She spent all of geology class thinking about whether or not I could read minds, and I knew she'd been thinking about it all off cycle as well. She decided that while it would be a relief if it weren't true, it would also be a disappointment, and she had determined to come talk to me about it as soon as possible. A large part of me still wasn't sure whether or not to tell her the truth, but either way I'd need to talk to her. So after class, I went to my room instead of searchlights, and sat and waited. It didn't take her very long to show up, and so I still hadn't decided whether to tell her or not. On one hand, she was kind of annoying, and it was best to keep the secret between as few mecha as possible. On the other hand, she was already suspicious, and I didn't want her asking too many questions or trying to figure it out on her own. I reluctantly opened the door. "Sorry to bother you," she said. "If you can hear this, let me know somehow. I'll make up some stupid excuse for being here and go away if you don't, just in case I was wrong about you reading minds. Don't let that stop you from telling me though. I'll always wonder about it, even if you don't tell me. And I'll be listening for Searchlight to say something about it again." I sighed. "Fine." She hesitated. "Fine what?" "Fine I can. But you have to promise not to tell anyone." "Really?" Bree said. "Well, of course I won't, but really. We are talking about the same thing, right?" I nodded. Can I come in? Probably shouldn't talk about this out in the halls." I nodded and backed away so she could come in, then got out my datapad and typed out the basics of how my mind reading worked. I was probably making some sort of mistake, but she did intend to stay true to her word and not tell anyone. And, well, she'd already pretty much known. I wasn't too happy with Searchlight for telling her, but it had happened and couldn't be undone. I handed her the datapad with the information and she read thoughtfully, then deleted the words. "So," she said, still standing just inside the door. Do you prefer we talk out loud, or do you want me to talk to you, like, telepathically?" No one had ever asked me that before. I reached for the datapad and she handed it to me. "I don't really care. I know everything you think anyway, but if you say it out loud, I'll know you really meant to say it." "Oh, okay," Bree said. "Well, I guess I'll talk out loud then. This is fascinating. And awful. Poor Soundwave. He's surprisingly normal. You can tell there's something different about him, but you wouldn't think it's something like this." Ravage hopped up onto the berth. Breeze was still a little nervous around him, but he just sat, watching her thoughtfully, and eventually she turned her attention back to me. "So," she said. "This is all really, so you hear everyone's thoughts no matter what, so long as you're in range of them. That must be like having a one-way bond with everyone. That must really rust." I nodded. Wow, serious respect for this fledgling. I don't think I could handle that. "Oh, the thing with Verdict, when he abandoned us, when you said a lot of mecha were going to get hurt, when you left us there, you weren't just guessing, were you? You knew?" I nodded. "I still shouldn't have left." "No," Bree said. "It makes sense now. But he must have known Searchlight would be really upset about it. That probably took a lot of courage." I shook my helm. Courageous was not a word I would use to describe what had happened there. "So Searchlight knows, does Ratchet? About the mind reading?" I nodded. "And me," Ravage said. "And a teacher, what was his designation?" "Cable or Reach." Breeze nodded. "Oh, yeah," Ravage said. "And so do Verdict, Motormaster, and Jazz." Breeze's optics widened. "What? That's not good." I shook my helm in agreement. "So how is it even still a secret? Why haven't they told anyone?" I shrugged. "No proof," I said. "I suppose they'd have to convince someone, but that's still kind of scary. What happens if they convince the wrong mecha it's true?" I shrugged again. She looked at me for a few clicks. I wonder if that also played into why he left when we made our stand against them. Searchlight standing up to the bullies is kind of risky, isn't it? I wonder if Soundwave is okay with that or not. If he isn't, would he even say anything? "Well," she said. "Wow, he can hear me analyzing him, can't he? That's really rude of me." I wrote on my datapad. "It's okay. I can hear everyone analyze me." "Oh, Primus, that Russ, I'm sorry," Bree said. "That's awful. At the same time, it must be nice to know what other mecha are thinking sometimes." It really wasn't worth it. "So, how far can you stretch your range? You probably haven't tried, since it gives you processor aches, right?" "I was out camping once and got it about half the size of this city." "Wow," Bree said. "And then did it come back to normal?" I nodded. Of course, it hadn't come back slowly like it should have, but I didn't feel the need to discuss that particular part of the camping trip with her. I still wasn't sure what that had been. My only guess was Primus, but that didn't make much sense. My range couldn't have been out that far. It would have needed to go all the way down to the center of the planet. That, I could calculate easily, meant I would have had most of Eocon in my range and the edges of several other cities as well. And in any case, even if I did reach Primus's mind, I doubted I'd be able to hear his thoughts. Breeze was thinking about my stutter now. "Do you think the way you talk is linked to the mind reading? Is it worse when you have a processor ache?" I nodded. "Are there other times when it's worse?" "If I'm nervous." I wrote. "Good," she said, her wings perking up. Then she grimaced and reached back up to rub at the still slightly painful joint. "If it's not just a reaction to his mind reading, then maybe it's just psychological, and he can overcome it. Wow, this is really cool. Just last term I didn't have any friends. Now I have Searchlight and Ratchet sort of and a mech who can read minds. Oops, now he knows I didn't have any friends, of course, he probably already knew." She tilted her helm to the side. "You know everyone's secrets, don't you?" I nodded. "There's a lot of potential there. For good and for evil. You could, be the best psychiatrist ever." I almost laughed. I could just imagine that. All of my clients would be terrified of me. But Breeze just went on, oblivious to my amusement. It was kind of sad, really, how no one could ever tell what I was feeling. I had to actually say something for them to know. Breeze had a lot of other questions, and I answered them, discovering that I actually didn't mind telling her. She was a different sort of audience from Searchlight or Cable or Reach. She was more focused on trying to imagine what it would be like than thinking of things I could do with it, or logistical problems. And she was also mildly impressed, which helped. When she ran out of questions, she asked me if I had any questions for her. "Not that I have answers half as interesting as yours, or that you don't know more about me than you want to already. You've thought I wrote several times during this conversation that you believe I can overcome my stutter." She nodded. "I think you probably can, given enough time and the right kind of counseling. I can try to help you if you like. Psychology is my emphasis." "What would you want in return?" "Your spark," she said darkly, then shook her helm. "Just kidding. No, let's just say you don't tell Searchlight I like him and in return, I'll do what I can." Not going to promise anything, though. You should really get professional help there. Guess you can't, huh? You have a secret to keep. I shrugged. Well, I'll do some research and get back to you about that. Thanks for telling me. You didn't have to trust me. Well, you already knew. Let's not tell them I know yet. That could be kind of fun. I shrugged. I wasn't going to tell them. She left, and I went back to my homework. Eventually, someone who could really hurt me would find out. But once again, I told myself I'd rather have friends than be completely safe. And the more trustworthy friends I had, the more help I could call for if things went wrong. I went to the library the next door to research something for Cable Reach's class. When I got there, Jazz was sitting at a computer terminal, putting off the exact same homework assignment he was in that class as well. I almost decided to turn around and leave before he saw me, but I really needed to work on the assignment, and I figured if I was careful, he wouldn't notice me there. I sat at a computer as far away from him as possible, but he still saw me. He didn't feel like bothering me though, even though he was bored. Then Verdict and Motormaster came in. I wasn't in their line of sight, so I didn't move, but I prepared to make some sort of escape if I needed to. Hey, Jazz, Verdict said, loud enough that the archivist shot him a glare. Jazz looked up. Hi. Oh, great, here it comes. I was a little surprised about how unhappy he was to see them here. Verdict crossed the room. Of course he's in here. We should have looked here first. He seemed unhappy about something too. Can we talk to you? Jazz spun his chair around. Sure, Verdict, he said. Come on. Verdict turned and walked away and Jazz followed him. They stopped in the hall outside, still within my range. So, where were you last, Orn? Studying, Jazz said. Classes are harder this term. I have homework. Really? Verdict said. Really, or are you just avoiding us? Look, Jazz said. Way I see it, things are pretty much done. Searchlight's not gonna give up and I can't go up against a mind reader. Then we tell someone about Soundwave, Verdict said. I froze. Nah, Jazz shook his helm. I told ya, first we'd have to have evidence. Second, even if we did, it'd just end with Soundwave dead, or something worse, and I don't want that on my spark, do you? Primus, Jazz, Verdict said, why don't you just go join Searchlight's little army already then? No, Jazz said. I'm still on your side, Verdict. Are you? Yes. Jazz glared. Then act like it, Verdict said. Got that? Yeah. We need to figure out what we're going to do about Searchlight. We have to get him expelled somehow. We shouldn't talk here, Jazz said. Soundwave could be listening. I wonder how far away from him you have to get so he can't hear you. He can't possibly hear everyone's thoughts at once, it'd overload his processor, wouldn't it? Okay, then let's go to my room. They walked away and out of my range. I barely had time to really analyze that conversation, though, before Thundercracker, who was also in the library, noticed me and came over. I didn't look up as he approached. I knew what he wanted to say, and I wasn't entirely sure how to feel about it. I keep thinking about how they pushed that femme down the stairs. I'm starting to agree with Searchlight about Verdict and his friends. Hey, he said when he was close enough that I could hear him talking quietly. You can tell Searchlight to count me in next time he makes a stand. I looked over my shoulder at him, but he just turned around and walked away, so I went back to my homework. When I was finished, I went to get Ravage and bring him to Searchlight's room. Breeze was there, as well as several of the students who'd stayed when Searchlight had gone to stand up to the bullies. As soon as I stepped inside, the atmosphere in the room was suddenly hostile. Ravage seemed to sense the tone and shifted on my shoulders. Searchlight just smiled and waved me in. Hey, Soundwave. I came in and put a hand on one of Ravage's paws to warn him not to jump down and startle anyone. What is he doing here? Isn't he the one who abandoned us? Searchlight, can I talk to OU? Searchlight hesitated, then nodded. About what? If it's to do with mind reading, we can go out in the hall, but I'm kind of in the middle of something here. I looked around the room. If I wanted these other students to accept me, I could try explaining what I'd heard in here, with them listening. I overheard Verdict A and the others. Really? Searchlight said. What did they say? Everyone was interested now. I wished I had a datapad or that I could play back the conversation, but I hadn't been close enough to physically record it. Searchlight grabbed a datapad off of his desk and tossed it to me. I caught it and wrote. Verdict's not going to give up. I heard them arguing, actually. Jazz seemed to want to let it go, but Verdict's determined. He wants to get you expelled. I handed the datapad to Searchlight, who read it and nodded, then handed it to one of the others. By the way, everyone, he said, Soundwave's still with us if he wants to be. But he left. So what? Searchlight said. A lot of them left, but if they want to come back, I'm fine with it. We need all the help we can get. So, what do we do about this? One of the other students said. Verdict's done that to other students before. He'll find a way. Yeah, Searchlight said. Probably. So, what do we do? Bree said. If you start fights or anything, that'll be a perfect excuse for them to try to get you in trouble. True, Searchlight said. Well, he can't get all of us expelled, one of the others said. Yeah, Searchlight agreed. So you could carry on standing up to them if they get me. I really don't want to be expelled. Keepsake and Cam would be so disappointed. No, one of the others said. They're trying to get you expelled. We'll get them expelled first. The others liked that idea. But how? Searchlight said. Verdict's creators can get him out of nearly anything. That's not really true, Yui, I said. The headmaster had the last say, and if he had enough of a reason, even Verdict's creators couldn't save him. Okay, Searchlight said, then let's see what we can come up with. Ideas. Ratchet came in, followed by another student. Searchlight, what the frag is going on in here? Meeting, Searchlight said. Sorry I didn't warn you. Get all of these idiots out of my room. Searchlight. Ratchet. Ravage jumped off of my shoulders and bowled Ratchet over. The other student with him gasped and ducked out of the way, terrified. A bunch of the students in the room freaked out too, but Ratchet just shouted at Ravage and shoved him off. Ravage came back and curled around my pids. Ratchet glared at Searchlight. Can you have your meeting somewhere else? I need to study in here. Actually, I think we're done for this Orn. Let the others know, and everyone try to come up with ideas for how to get Verdict expelled. They nodded and filed out past Ratchet and the other mech who, apparently, was his partner for a chemistry project he needed to do. You're trying to get someone expelled. He whispered, glancing nervously at Searchlight. I hope I don't have to go say something to a teacher or anything. The other mech's trying to get him expelled, Ratchet said. Just ignore him. Ouch, Searchlight said. Verdict, the other student said. I think I know who that is. Isn't he that really mean fifth term? Yeah, Ratchet said. We all do. Come in. The other student hesitated, shooting a very nervous glance at Ravage. It's okay, Ratchet said. That's just Soundwave's oversized pet. I've never seen it actually hurt anyone. And he mostly doesn't jump on anyone but me. Why me? The other mech took a hesitant step forward. I wish we could have done this in the library instead. I've heard about Soundwave too. Ratchet's roommate and his friends are kind of intimidating. I suppose I shouldn't be afraid of them just because they're bigger and older than me, but trying to get another student expelled. A teacher ought to be told about that. Oh, come on, Ratchet said, and grabbed his friend by the arm to drag him into the room. You'll get used to them. Let's talk about the project. Do you want to do this Oran's homework first? The other student said. To get it out of the way. Sure, Ratchet said. And it'll get done faster if we do it together. He glanced at Ravage again. Next time, I'll ask if we can go to my room or the library or somewhere. So, what's going on? Searchlight asked. Homework and a project, Ratchet said. If you can do projects in here, then so can I. The other student winced. I guess his roommates can't be too bad if Ratchet's so willing to say things like that. I hope that didn't offend Searchlight. I didn't say you couldn't. Breeze, who hadn't left yet and was sitting in a chair, smiled at him. Poor thing looks terrified. I promise we don't bite, except maybe Ravage, but so long as you don't attack Soundwave or anything, he's fine. I'm Breeze, by the way. Is this your first term here? He shrugged shyly. No, I'm a second term. But he's in the fourth term chemistry class with me, Ratchet said. Real proud of yourself, aren't you? Searchlight lay back on his berth and looked up at the ceiling. That's cool, Breeze said. I'm sure I'm not even smart enough to be in first term chemistry. I remember that class, she frowned. It was awful. I think I barely passed. Good thing my creators are rich and I don't need a scholarship. I don't know, Ratchet's friend smiled. I'm pretty bad at history. Everyone's good at something. So, let's get this homework done, Ratchet said, pulling out a datapad. I've already finished problems 1 through 4. I looked at the first one. The second term reached into a bag slung over his shoulder and pulled out a datapad of his own. They sat down on the ground instead of Ratchet's desk, so I borrowed Ratchet's chair to sit in. Breeze pulled out a datapad and doodled. Searchlight pondered how to get Verdict expelled and avoid the same fate himself. Ratchet and the second term did homework. When he'd gotten over being shy, the second term was actually interesting to talk to, or at least to listen to. I wasn't surprised that he was half a floor ahead of his age group. He had one of those rare minds that thought very clearly and always in complete sentences. He and Ratchet ended up in a deep conversation about space bridge technology. It was something I was interested in as well, so I hesitantly put a word in here and there. Eventually, Breeze yawned and got up. See you next door, she said, and left the room. Oh, no, the second term said. We didn't start the project. We still have a drawer before lights out, Ratchet said. I realize I should probably go too. I got up and made for the door. It was nice to meet you, the second term said. I don't know if he cares, but it's right to be polite to everyone. Soundwave, right. I nodded. Oh, I don't think I introduced myself. My designation, Shockwave, by the way. He smiled, feeling kind of awkward. Sorry I didn't introduce myself earlier. I shrugged. It's fine, Ine. Ravage hopped up onto my shoulders and we headed back to my room.